Sometimes we can blame God, we can blame universe, we can blame somebody or something like that. They try to you need to be strong, you need to fight back.
Did you ever had this? Have you been through this? No. Then please keep your opinions on you. Mm-hmm.
It is not a textbook solution that we can have. It is not like, okay, you go say, hey, there, it's okay, it'll all be all right. Compassion gets lost when we become too much self-centered. Anybody can get cancer. What is the big deal? They beat themselves up so much that the first person who is suffering has to stop their suffering and then come and help out and then say, it's okay, I'm all right now, please stop crying. You should have done that. You should have been stronger. You should have been kinder. You should have been better. We think I am guilty about causing you pain, but I'm thinking only about myself all the time. What did I do? What did I not do? What should I have done?
People to come and, oh my God, this happened to me. This happened to me. Welcome to the podcast Living Consciously. I'm Mihaela Nedela-Perianu, and together with Rajesh Ramani, we are going to continue the episodes about how to live more consciously, and today the topic is on compassion. Rajesh, compassion is another hot topic, another buzzword in the spiritual world, in the healing journey of everybody. We talk about, lots of us, we talk about compassion towards ourselves, to other nations, to compassion towards animals, the planet. How do we start with compassion? In being compassionate?
We have an innate ability to be compassionate. It is not an external new value system or a new thought that we need to cultivate within us. Compassion is an innate quality in each human being. Like how love is an innate quality, compassion is an innate quality that we can extend towards oneself and others. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when we are caught up in the struggles of life, the hurts and guilt and other forms of pain and suffering that we go through, we tend to close ourselves off in a way to protect ourselves from getting hurt more or protect ourselves from any form of suffering. So when we protect ourselves, we become more and more self-centered. That is, I have to protect myself, whether it is in a mental or a physical sense, or as a group, or as a community, or as any identity that we form individually or collectively. So because of that self-centeredness that comes into play, there is a difference between where I start and end and where the other starts and ends. So that means there is a circle that we draw within which I am okay, and with the outside of it, I have to either fight or I have to protect myself from.
So it's like what you are saying is that by nature we are all compassionate. And when we lack manifesting compassion, it's out of fear and it's out of separation.
Yes, and also it's out of the need to protect ourselves. Mm-hmm. And protect our boundaries.
That's fear, yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes away our ability to be compassionate because we are not ready to be vulnerable. And our view also becomes more and more self-centered because it becomes a view of protecting, survival-based. So whenever there is survival-based attitude, then fear-based activities start coming up. So then we become defensive. So compassion gets lost when we become too much self-centered.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to ask you what's the difference between compassion and empathy. But until we reach this question, I would like you to give me an example of what does it mean to manifest compassion, to express it, and what... an example for expressing a compassion towards somebody else, and an example of repressing the compassion that you feel, so that we, the audience, the people listening to us, get a better sense of compassion. So,
it also connects to the other question you were about to ask about empathy and compassion.
The difference between compassion and empathy.
Yes, yes. See, as a definition, empathy is where you feel what other person is going through. And then so we can connect and feel with whatever the other person's experience is. Compassion takes one more step. It is not only feeling about what they are going through, but also in trying to alleviate their pain, in trying to end their suffering in some form.
It implies action.
It implies action. So when we are in a compassionate space, it automatically implies action. Sometimes it could be an external action. That is an actual action. You go and talk to somebody or you make a change in the situation. But sometimes it could be an internal action. It could be through a prayer. It could be through wishing them well. It could be even just gently touching somebody. So the action is directed towards bringing an end to someone's pain or suffering because we feel. Sometimes silence could be a very powerful action through compassion, because sometimes we become so compassionate, and the natural action that emerges out of it is silence, but not a silence out of any defiance or a silence out of judgment, but a silence out of that feel, that
of
connection,
holding the space,
and holding that space. And so silence could be a right and proper action through which we can extend our compassion. But answering your other question, like, is it compassion that is expressed or repressed? When there is compassion, there is no repressing, because it is the quality of the heart. There is no repression of compassion. Repression and suppression happens only in the mind space. In the heart space, there is no repression. There is an expression of it, either in a very silent, calm way, or an internal way, or an expression in an external way. So that we do not know what kind of expression would emerge in a given situation. That's why when compassion happens, right action happens. That will be the right action for that moment.
For compassion, you don't plan. Something I feel with you and I do something to elevate your pain.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And it's in the moment. It's not planning.
Yes, exactly. It is in the moment, because the situation is happening in the moment. It is not a textbook solution that we can have. It is not like, okay, you go say, hey, there, it's okay, it'll all be all right. And, we go on repeating that stuff, or, you'll be fine. No, that solution can also be there, but that solution, there is no fixed solution. The solution emerges as we get connected to the person, whoever is going through that pain, going through that condition, through that suffering.
Okay, because otherwise what I'm getting out of what you are saying is that when there is lack of compassion, let's say that you have an accident, yes, knock on wood, hopefully you won't. So I feel your pain. No, you lose money. You lose your money, okay? I say, oh my God, Rajesh, I'm so sorry that you... And it's like, oh my God, poor Rajesh. And then if it's lack of compassion, I will start to give you advice, unsolicited advice. You shouldn't have done this. Why did you do that? Why did you borrow the money? Or, okay, how can you make more money from now on? And it's like projecting my concern to you. It's sort of unsolicited feedback, right? And trying to pull you out of there. In compassion, if you lose your money, say, okay, Rajesh, I really feel sorry for you. How did it land for you? What is it that you need now?
Yes. So it will be more solution-oriented, but it will also be more from a place of acceptance of that situation. See,
and relating more to what your needs are.
Exactly.
Relating not what I think that you should do.
Perfectly right. Relating more towards the needs of the person in the moment. And we cannot predict anything further, because it is something that emerges based on that situation. Come from the mind in this space, like, most people, even sometimes when they are in a space of empathy, they feel connected to the other person, and then they feel what the other person is going through, but it is uncomfortable. So what many people do in the circumstances, they try to get away from that painful situation.
Yes, yes.
So the best way is to, like as you said, the best way is to give them advice of how it should not be, or how they should end their suffering as fast as possible. Why? Because your suffering is causing me discomfort.
Yes, I've been through this.
Yes.
Like, I mean, when I have enough, it's something like, please don't tell me, I don't want to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is where we are already filled with our own, whatever our troubles are, whatever our energies are low. So in that moment, we end up pushing that pain away, pushing that condition away. So any solution that comes from pushing it will be an impatient solution, will be a blaming solution, or will be a generalized solution, but it will not be with kindness towards the other person who is going through that experience. So that is a marked difference, but compassion is a much courageous place. We go and stay with the other person, whoever is going through that. We stay in that, we stare at it, we pay attention to it, we let it affect us. We let it affect us. It is a very vulnerable place. We let it affect whatever their condition is, and then through the pain that we experience in reflection with them, we bring out our action. So to whatever extent you can, we cannot exactly replicate other people's pain. Sometimes somebody is suffering, and then that suffering is causing me to feel something, but I've never gone through that suffering. But I know they are suffering. So when I hold that space for their suffering to hit me, and then I feel the helplessness around it, and I feel like, I don't know what to do, or I don't know how much you feel. So when you go into that space, then an action emerges. Then action could be little, the action could be life-changing, we don't know.
But it can be a hug, it can be holding a hand.
It can be giving the right advice, it can be directing somebody somewhere, it can be words, it can be action. But the key quality here is to bring in, to take it in. Quite often what people do is they are uncomfortable about somebody's pain. So they go on in this solution-giving mode, or walking away from it, like becoming indifferent to that situation by giving some rational explanation. It is like saying, oh, people die all the time. What is the big deal? Anybody can get cancer. What is the big deal? So giving some rationalized explanations of why it is happening. So if we face that discomfort of that situation, there arises within us a solution or an action, and that action is what we are aiming at.
Shall we talk about venting? Because venting is like, when you are an empathetic person, the tendency of the people to come and, oh my God, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened. So when to know, when to manifest people that are constantly complaining and talking over and over again about the same thing, about the same thing, about the same thing. Okay, so you are compassionate.
They are in a victim mode.
Yes. And then it turns more like a venting sort of stuff. So
they are venting it at us.
Yes.
How can we be compassionate towards them?
Yes, or what shall we do? Because what I've learned, I guess in the past 2 years, I didn't know about this concept, is to ask for permission to vent. Right? So I don't know, something bad happened to me. Like I'm annoyed, I couldn't find a doctor. I don't know, something. Yes, it's not life-changing, it's not life-threatening. It's just, an annoying stuff that is going on. What I've learned is that when I have the need to talk with somebody about it, and I know that it's talking about something that is annoying, I'm asking for permission to vent. Because it's just venting.
So what do you expect from the other person when you are venting?
Listening. Holding the space.
Okay. If the other person can do it with the right understanding, then that is compassion action.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it is very much possible, See, when people are venting and then they're playing like a victim, even in an extreme case, when they are continuously want attention out of that victimhood,
Yeah,
that itself is their suffering.
Okay, and what shall we do as the receiver of venting?
Yes, see, that is what we have to see. We have to see that okay, they have a real problem. They have a disease, a physical one. And then they are venting about that thing constantly to you.
Yeah.
So now what is their suffering? Their suffering is twofold. The first one is the disease, physical disease that they are carrying. And the second one is the psychological aspect. That itself is suffering, is it not?
Yes.
So as a compassion...
It's physical suffering and psychological suffering.
Yes, both together. So when we listen to them from a space of compassion, we listen that they are suffering in both forms. And we bring compassion to the person who is suffering in both forms. So that means there will be an acceptance of their venting as part of their suffering.
Okay.
It is not something separate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, people are complicated. We are a body-mind mechanism. So we are not like just the body or just the mind. So the body can lead to the mind and the mind can lead to the body. So it's a combined suffering there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to expand our space of compassion to hold for both of that to come through. Often people tell me, like, I was so kind to you for so long, and, but you continue to do the same thing, like I cannot be compassionate anymore. So I think, it is nothing to do with the other person, whatever it is. Compassion has to do with the space that we can hold.
Towards ourselves and others.
Exactly. Towards the suffering and pain of ourselves or towards the suffering and pain of others. If we can hold that space and allow that pain to affect us, to touch us, then there will be an action that arises.
Mm-hmm.
And each individual may have different levels of capacity to hold that space. Some people can hold that space for only the near and dear ones, some people who they actually love or who are important in their life. That is possible. For some other people, even that is not possible.
Mm-hmm.
They have like, okay, I have compassion only for myself. For some people, even that is difficult. I like some parts of myself, the other parts I hate them so much. And in that hating, I have no compassion. So that's where they punish themselves.
Mm-hmm.
People are self-sabotaging. People punish themselves because they cannot find compassion for oneself. One of the main reasons why we can't find compassion for oneself or the other is a strong sense of what we should be and what we should not be. And we have a strong sense of what is right and what is wrong. What
so it's a judgment.
It's a judgment,
mm-hmm.
and it's a sense of the strong duality. And when we get caught up in the strong dual things of opposites all the time, then we cannot forgive ourselves, and we always are expecting something else, how I should be. So that is where we keep going.
That was another question, because we all feel guilty in many ways regarding our past, right? How we address with compassion guilt. How can guilt be addressed with compassion?
See, this is a very good question, huge in many people's lives, particularly around pain that could have been caused by us directly, indirectly, inadvertently, and choices that we could have made in
mm-hmm.
life, and then where we made different choices, and
mm-hmm.
then the outcomes are different. So the place where we hold guilt is to turn all the pain and suffering upon ourselves. So because pain and suffering is solid, we don't know what to do with it. where we want to find a reason for why it is there. In some cases, we blame somebody else so that we can hold it on their name. Sometimes we can blame God, we can blame universe, we can blame somebody or something like that. And in many cases, where the flow of events are such that maybe we were presented with a choice and we made some other choice. So in those cases, the pain or suffering of the situation we carry, not knowing how to resolve them, and we carry it and we burden it upon ourselves. And the burdening system works in this question and answer mode. We are constantly asking question, what should I have done? And then we give an answer. But then we again ask a question, but I couldn't do that at that time. Oh, it's because you don't love, but I really love. And then the question and answer goes around in loops and loops.
So
and
then
loops.
it's a negative vortex, and
it becomes a negative vortex. And this negative vortex is where we keep ourselves. And the more we project alternate scenarios for ourselves, the more the suffering around that guilt is.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, if you look at it properly, were there choices? Yes. Did we choose them? We made a choice. But in that circumstances, all other factors supported us making that choice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
I understand, yeah.
So we made a choice, and the choice was supported by so many factors of life in that moment. Maybe you didn't have time. Maybe you had other choices to be done. See how many parents, for example, they go through their life, they love their children dearly. But then, they have their children maybe in their 20s or 30s. That is exactly the time that they have to develop their careers. That is exactly the time also when they are young, they have to experience the world. That is also the time that they need that space for themselves. So when you are juggling so many things in life, and then you have to make choices. And in all of that, we do certainly make choices. In hindsight, as they say, it's always 20/20. In hindsight, we say like, oh, I should have reduced that one. I should have done more of this. That is a lie.
That is ignorance. I learned from you that that's the definition of ignorance, to judge yourself for what you did in the past, not taking into account how you were affected by life 10 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 month ago. And that is ignorance. I wasn't aware of it.
That is ignorance.
Because you are ignoring the life circumstances and how life affected you and how you were affected by others.
Yes. So we ignore all of this. When we ignore all of this, we see a partial picture. And this partial picture has only partial solutions. So when we have the partial picture, there is no place for compassion, because we can alternatively give something else. You should have done that. You should have been stronger. You should have been kinder. You should have been better. So when we go into such judgmental statements and states, there is no arising of compassion. What we should see here is, we, as much as we are a product of life, and life's circumstances along with our own free will and our choices helped mold that situation, when we recognize that, we become free of this loop of guilt that we carry.
Okay.
When the loop of guilt breaks down, what is there? There is the original situation, the original pain. Like maybe it is the pain caused to our children or to our parents or somebody else, and that pain hits us. So then when that pain hits us, we can bring compassion towards that person who actually suffered. That's why I would say guilt is a self-centered activity where we are important. We think I am guilty about causing you pain, but I'm thinking only about myself all the time. What did I do? What did I not do? What should I have done? Why am I a good person?
It's also a self-centered thing.
Oh, yes.
Because you actually ignore all the life circumstances.
Not only that, we ignore the pain of the other person right then and there. If we don't ignore the person's pain then and there, we will jump and try to help them out. When somebody hurts, imagine I hurt you with some words, and then I visibly see that you are disturbed and you are suffering through it, what should I be doing?
If you see that I'm disturbed by what you said, from a compassionate space, I would say that you should ask me, Miki, I'm sensing that something changed in your energy. Is it something that I've done? I would check.
Yes.
Because I sense that this is what happened. I would check with you what I think that affected you.
Exactly.
Yeah, is
and
that?
Then,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the first step. And then you say like, yes, the word that you said hurt me and it affected me. So then the next step would be, oh, I'm really sorry. I caused you that pain. I'm so sorry. How are you feeling now? Can I do something to help you to get out of that? So this is the natural compassionate way.
Okay.
But if I'm not compassionate, I will become defensive. Say like, okay, Miki, I said those words, but then I didn't actually mean it that way. I meant something else, but you took it this way. That's why you are hurt. See, now think about it again. You should not be hurt right now because I didn't actually mean it. Oh, you still didn't get it? I'm going to say it in another form.
Yeah.
So what happens is we end up defending ourselves.
And putting the blame on, no, you misunderstood. Yeah.
Yes. Or we take it on the other way, blaming ourselves. Look how stupid I am. Look how, unaware I am. Look what a lousy person I am. So, and then after a point, instead of you suffering through it, you have to stop me suffering from it.
Yes,
so it becomes a comedy where some people actually do it. They beat themselves up so much that the first person who is suffering has to stop their suffering and then come and help out and then say, it's okay, I'm all right now, please stop crying. So that is why I say this is a self-centered activity. I'm not saying it lightly that people are trying to do it consciously, but it is...
Basically, everything is, sorry for interrupting you, all these games that we are playing, they are unconscious.
Much is unconscious.
We don't do it. Probably sometimes we do it intentionally, but I think that they are just unconscious programs.
That is what we've been trained with.
Yes.
We've been trained from childhood and through examples of our own parents and our own society and everyone. Everyone tells you that you know what, okay, this is how it happens, and we are trained to fall into guilt or into blame. Instead, if somebody actually teaches us how to be compassionate, how to actually stay with the person's pain and suffering and focus and keep our focus on them and try to alleviate it. And when we learn that consciously, it's a very powerful tool to have.
But the danger, at least for me and for many people that are empathetic, is that you take the pain over and you don't know how to deal with it.
Yes, that's where I say that we need to be taught the second part of it. Everyone, some people are more empathetic by nature. Some people have learned it somewhere in life because they've gone through pain themselves, and then at some point they thought okay, I have to feel other people's pain. But that is half learning. The other half is they identify themselves and then they connect to their traumas. What happens is with many empathetic
it's over identification.
Yes. Yeah. So they identify with themselves like, okay, we are all suffering together, and then then it takes us to a desperate place. Desperation is not compassion. Helplessness place is different from a desperate place. Helplessness is, I don't know what to do. I feel the pain. Desperation is a resignation, like, okay, I can't do anything because we are all anyway down here, and then, that's it. From helplessness comes compassion, because I don't know, but I hold. I'm not identifying with it completely and running away with it, but I feel that. So working with people over these years, as they say, as a coach or a teacher, you have to hold the line between what you are and what the other person is. Otherwise, we over-identify and we try to give our solutions to everyone.
Okay.
So one of the things that I learned and my teachers showed me was to keep the heart open, at the same time to take that pain and convert it into something positive and something energizing, nourishing, and something empowering.
For the other person.
For the other person. And it is sometimes easy to get caught up in our own lines of stories and things. But that is not helpful. This is where awareness comes into play. But when we act from a place of compassion, not to identifying with ourselves, nor to being too judgmental. Those are the other two states. Being too judgmental, like you are somebody who I have never seen such a bad person, or saying like, oh my goodness, you are suffering is so much like me. I know exactly. And then, we are all suffering together. No, neither of those states. Not being indifferent, not indulging too much and attaching ourselves to it. But when we hold it, this person is going through this suffering, not the story. The story is not relevant. You could have broken your arm in so many different ways. That is not important. The pain that you experience out of this is the only thing that is important. That is where many people move into the storyline. Oh, how did this happen? Oh, yes, I know how that happens because it happened to me the same way. So when we get caught up in the storyline, we become desperate. That is where empathy, some empath people can get caught up in that pain continuously because they get caught up in the storyline. Just face the suffering part of it and see the important point here is to see that my suffering is not different from your suffering. You are not that different from me. If I was in that place, I would be suffering pretty much like that. When we realize that the other person is not different from us, there arises compassion.
Speaking about this, so for the sake of the example, okay, assuming that, okay, I broke my wrist, fine. Now you are a life enhancement mentor. You really are, right? What would be the compassionate question or addressing what you see here with my arm?
Oh, the simplest question is it hurting?
Okay.
And you say...
And I would say, yeah, it was hurting at the beginning.
Yes, I would say, fine. Because, see, compassion is based on the pain that you are suffering right now. And I would say, oh, was it hurting so much? I know. Maybe I don't know that amount of pain. But I can equate it to that you were in pain.
Okay.
So when I acknowledge...
It's asking basically about, was it painful? Yeah.
Or is it painful?
Or
if I visibly see that you are suffering through something, and then I come over to you and then I ask you, like, can I be of help in any form? You may say yes, you may say no. But that's it. My compassionate action ends with that question, perhaps. Maybe in some other situations, maybe I don't have to ask a question. I just have to enter into an action.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because the majority of people asked me, how did it happen? And if I'm suing is the correct word, taking to court, the gym where it happened. And I was like, oh my God, I mean, why would I do that? It's not about that.
Yes.
I mean, it's not a war. It can happen everywhere. Why would I take to court somebody?
Yes.
I mean, that was the thing. It's not if it wasn't painful.
All these opinions come up because people are uncomfortable with your condition. They have to say something, and then they make these things.
This is why we do this, because we feel uncomfortable.
Oh, yes. Often, either it comes from a place of discomfort, or sometimes it is well-intentioned, but completely out of sync. So that is where there is no actual listening. Sometimes people ask questions just because they have to. It is like, like condolences, I don't even know that person. I don't know what to say. But then, something like that. So these are all polite responses that we have learned in life. It comes under that more than a compassionate response to such situations.
Okay. Good. Rajesh, regarding compassion, is there anything that I should have asked you and I didn't, that you would like to cover?
Yes. See, one important part is it is easier to be compassionate to people whom we know. But if you look around the world, there is so much pain and suffering that is happening around us in all forms, whether it is diseases, wars, and psychologically, in all spaces. And most of us don't know how to respond to that. We are not directly there, and we are maybe consuming news of it, or we are closer to a place where somebody is suffering or someone else is suffering. And often we don't know what to do with that pain. Either it is a pain of groups of people or pain of individuals, and we don't know what to do. And this is where we become either desperate, and through desperation we become either angry and upset with the whole world, or with certain people and certain groups of people. Or we go into the other part, which is like a big victimhood, like, anyway, we are all nobodies, anything can happen to us, or nobody listens to us. So that kind of a victimhood place. The best way to handle them is, as I told, as you do for an individual, taking the pain to whatever level you can, not focus on the aggressor. So many people go into anger because we focus on who is causing the pain. And we are always stuck in who is causing the pain, But then we don't actually address the person who is going through the pain. And even I've seen people who work with people like that, like people who work with victims and people who are suffering. And what they do end up is like, they try to you need to be strong, you need to fight back, But what I'm saying is, let them decide if they need to fight back and all that stuff. From our place, we bring compassion, we take that pain in and wish them well. We can send proper energies, we can send prayer, and where you have contact with them, you can do some physical action that is possible. Let us engage in that action instead of becoming desperate. So compassion at one level is for the first individual, and then compassion for ourselves when we are going through what we are going through. Then compassion to people who are suffering around us. And as we expand our awareness and our sense of interconnectedness bigger and bigger and bigger, we can see sometimes the people who are causing pain are also suffering themselves within themselves in some form. I don't want us to go to extreme situations right away, but we can see it in our own family. We can see it around us. When I am in pain, I cause pain to somebody else. Not able to hold my pain, I cause pain to somebody else. Maybe my pain that I am experiencing and the pain I am causing may not be proportionate. But we do that. We see that in families. We see that in communities. And that is what happens at all levels. But to hold that space of kind of compassion would be difficult if we are beginners. So let us start with people whom we know, that they are not different from me. They are also shaped by life. They are a product of life. Let us bring compassion to oneself. I am a product of life, and all the fighting that I'm doing is, fighting myself around it, and it's so useless. So because the more I fight with myself, the more I'm in suffering. It's like my right hand and my left hand fighting. Whoever wins, I'm still in pain.
Yes.
So that is what happens. So when we recognize this, it's a birth of compassion.
For you, thank you so much for listening to this episode on compassion. We truly hope that it is of great help for you and for your loved ones. So please don't forget to subscribe to Mindfulness and Beyond, and for the international audience and for the Romanian audience, to Întrebări care ne schimbă viața. Thank you, and until next time. Bye.